Alright, welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. It's been a while since we've been on. Grand Solar Minimum channel has been, just time to kind of rethink things through and research on your own is always important. You always get to a point where you have to hit the reset button for a minute to get a refocus on things. And Mari and I wanted to do a quick little hangout today. The next live hangout we will more than likely have several guests be joining us. Of course, Lee Wheelbarger, Ice Age Farmer, and hopefully Mr. Starman. He's a little bit under the weather, so hopefully he gets better soon, but that's going to be the future hangout. But today, we wanted to kind of come on and talk about some of the effects of the Grand Solar Minimum and how the information is getting out about the Grand Solar Minimum and what we are trying to accomplish here at the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Mari and I started this on our main channel, WTF Sky, but we felt that the topic needed its own. It was just one of those things where we felt like we could give it its own platform as well. So we separated it, we brought it here, but in the beginning, Mari, and you could speak for yourself on this, but you weren't always 100% of a fan of this entire, and if you would just kind of share your thoughts about that.
Well, just skeptic, really. You put the puzzles of pieces together. After my experiences with researching anything scientific or conspiracy related, I've learned the hard way to sort of not latch on to any answer and just sort of sit on the fence and try to observe everything with an open mind and try to really analyze both sides. And after doing so for several months, watching Jake and Lee and all of our crew piecing the puzzles together, it's very clear that things are changing. Whether or not people agree that things are cooling or warming, that's up for debate for a lot of people. For me, that's besides the point. I think it's just important to discuss, no matter what the opinion is. But we all have to agree that things are changing. Our climate definitely is telling us something is changing, whether it's cooler or whatever, and we just need to adapt and make changes.
Yeah.
I think society, modern day society in general, has taken for granted a lot of what our ancestors gave us survival skill wise, knowledge base wise. So I think it's important to discuss and put on the table. We as a society need to be more responsible for our own sustainability and well-being.
Well, and plus, we survived this. Mankind survived this in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. I'm sure we're more than capable of surviving it this time. So, whether it's a long under minimum type event, or it's just a 30-year event, or if it turns into a glaciation event, which some are suggesting, which we have shown the cycle right now that we're going into by 2024, there is some concern. Some of the models that are coming up right now are interesting, and actually I do have, Starman has put together some charts for us. I don't want to show him yet because I wanted him on the show with us, but we will be going over these charts, and he came up with some really interesting orbits during that time of 2024. So, but at the Grand Solar Minimum, I've noticed a lot of new channels popping up around us that are reporting on the Grand Solar Minimum. I appreciate the people that are putting effort in and time in to look into this and talk about it. So that's number one. I do appreciate that. I also want to put GSM in a position too, is where we know this channel is monetized and it does accept donations, but we're not here to sell any tea. We're not here to sell any food from a
Food
website.
for Liberty,
We're not going to team up with an advertiser and stuff like that. Mari and I, what little, if any, comes from monetization goes back into the research. When I say that, I'm talking about just general things to keep a channel running, general cost. With that being said, we want to stress the events that are happening around us that are influenced by the grand solar minimum and a solar minimum period. Whether you believe it's the grand solar minimum or not, we all do agree that we are heading into a solar minimum. That has been acknowledged. So with that being said, this channel wants to focus more, and always will, about reporting on things as we see them. This is going to take time for everyone to see everything come together. So I think it's best to keep things in focus by just reporting the events as they come and not trying to, I feel like there's people out there that really want to get the info out, but to me, it almost feels like they're more worried about making a quick buck on it.
Well, I also think they use the term grand solar minimum to market something that's not necessarily tied to grand solar minimum as well, just as a way to lure people in, whether it be to buy tea or whatever. And that's something we're very cautious on. And for me, on YouTube, channels like that raise a red flag because it questions integrity and just why they're here, what the intent is behind the channel. If it's there to help educate people or learn together, or if it's there to be sensationalized to for one's own gain. I have a problem with sensationalizing things for one's own gain when it's blatantly, in your face marketing on top of sensational titles. We try very hard here not to have that.
Right.
I'm very anti that. If you follow anything WTF Sky.
Yeah, and we don't want to add any more panic or fear than what's already out there in the world. You cruise YouTube and you see a lot of information I'm not quite sure that any of us can really depend on, and it's concerning because it's getting harder and harder to separate what's real and what's fake. But the point is that there's a lot of people who are absorbing this information, and they are repeating a lot of information that they're absorbing, but some of it's not 100% correct. And that's what worries me, is that the story gets twisted. As you know, the exercise that we did in junior high, where you sat in a circle of 20 people, and you looked at the person next to you and said, "Hey, pass it on. I'm going to go hide a kite." Okay, whatever. By the time it gets around to the 20th person, it's, "Hey, I'm high as a kite." That's kind of like what we have to be careful of, is we don't want that filtering like that. And some of the information, some of the people that I see that are blaming certain events on grand solar minimum, look, there's no reason for predictions. There's no reason for, right now, and I've seen many scientists agree, we are heading into the unknown. And when I say that, we're going to see cooling, we're going to see extreme heating. We're already seeing it right now, record temperatures, heat in California right now. We've still got storms going on in the Gulf. But actually, if you would, Mari, take us over to SPACEWEATHER.com, a page that I've always kind of relied on. They've always been, from what I've seen, truthful and factual. The information I get from this website, I've never found it to be false or exaggerated. And this is mainly one of the websites here that this channel, when we do our updates, we trust the information that we read here. Just taking a quick look, solar wind speeds are pretty slow. These 2 weak sunspots that we have right now are finally Earth-facing and turning away. 331.3 kilometers per second. That's a pretty slow solar wind. If you could scroll down for me. So, but we've had 68 days this year of spotless days. KP indices are pretty quiet right now as well. And I wanted to show everybody this right here. This was the story that kind of got a lot of attention on the internet. I'm going to stop right there. The blue auroras, there are several videos that are saying that there was a Russian test missile that left an exhaust. But however, the science says different. The blue auroras is a sign of nitrogen. Energetic particles striking ionized molecular nitrogen at very high altitudes can produce a cold azure glow, most often seen during intense geomagnetic storms. So, and I think this is one of the reasons why that they're dismissing this as not nitrogen, because, like they said, this only happens during intense geomagnetic activity, which at that time we were in a G1, I think, and that's nothing, that's minor. But if it's possible, right now, as weak as our magnetosphere is, the weaker it gets every day, is it possible that we've never seen this before anyway, so is it possible that we need intense geomagnetic storms to see these blue auroras that are showing the presence of nitrogen? Lee Wheelbarger has been on the show several times, and he's talked about how nitrogen is formed in our atmosphere and how it is forming now. And I believe that the first answer that this website gave was for myself and others. And the second part to this answer, which I will cover, maybe these weren't auroras after all. Another theory is emerging for the blue apparition. Now, there's another video that shows a sphere that is flashing by the lens just for a few seconds. So it's very odd. But now we're saying that the orb is apparently a cloud from a missile test. And here we are showing the images. Thank you, Mari, for trying to slide through these. It, to me, is...
It's weird. It almost looks like a spotlight.
Wow. Very strange.
So very bright.
I have no words for that. I mean, if that's a missile cloud exhaust,
it doesn't look like it would be a missile to me. You think it, like, if you compare it to the test that NASA did earlier in the year,
yes,
the missile test,
they
if
didn't
you
look
compare
like
it
this.
to these, you know, the clouds, which we could probably put a comparison up, nothing like that.
No.
So.
And at first, I think people thought that orb was a lens flare, but now I don't. That's not a lens flare. That's all atmospheric. And my opinion, again, like I said, I don't think that we have to have intense geomagnetic activity anymore for these types of anomalies to happen, and that's alarming as well. So, wow, it's absolutely gorgeous. You know, SPACEWEATHER.com also had a story where the auroras were in the sky and they were reflecting. Yeah, show that again. That's crazy. Yes. The aurora were in the sky and it was reflecting off of the ground as well, and the water. I'm sorry. And it just looked beautiful. The water was green, and the sky was green. And they had the photographer who took the pictures was quoted saying, you know, we're supposed to be in a solar minimum, but I've never seen intense auroras like I've seen this year. And it kind of made me chuckle, and I think maybe SPACEWEATHER.com, I don't know, maybe they're chuckling too, but you know, during a minimum, we will see stronger auroras due to weaker magnetosphere. So I just thought, you know, that was cute. He was trying to say that the stronger auroras were created from a stronger sun magnetic field, but that's actually the opposite. So anyway, but interesting stuff. But this is a website I do trust, and I think sometimes, to be fair, they post both sides. They posted a theory, and they posted the scientific fact on what they believe it was, and that was very atmospheric, so I'm not sure about that. go ahead and take us over to this one here. I wanted to talk briefly as well. We reported earlier in the month about the northern part of the states getting snow in early October, and how it wasn't really a big deal. Yeah, that's the graph I wanted to show actually. So it really wasn't a big deal to have snow early October, but what we were trying to show was a big deal, and of course this number here now. All right, so Duluth, and this is not the exact chart that I wanted to show you, but um, October 27th, that number is actually false. It was actually 10.6. So, but anyway, if we could scroll back up, I'll just go ahead and see if there's anything else that talks about that. Go ahead and click on this right there. Yeah, see if there's anything but that link. Because I wanted to show you about the amount of the snow. I think it's pretty much just the same. Well, I can tell you this, and I do apologize for not having my sources correct. Just go back to that original one. Yeah. The 9.5 was actually at that point in time when they reported that story, but the ending total ended up being 10.6. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because the record was 6.3 set back in 1918. So this was a 100-year-old record. And the reason why I'm talking about this is that, most of these records that get broke, they get broke by an inch, 2 inches, 2.5, 3 inches. It's not a typical, this is shattered. And the point I'm trying to make, and how there is a connection to the amount of snow that fell, is again, it all ties back into the weaker magnetosphere, all the solar wind that we get, all the geomagnetic storms that we've had, which creates a healthy environment for highly charged particles to be in our atmosphere. And we all know that snow and rain all rely on particles in our atmosphere to form. And then when you add in highly charged particles, or just charged particles, period, the mass will grow and fall at a rapid rate. Like we're seeing right now, we've already seen some heavy snows earlier in October. The last time we did a hangout, we talked briefly about it. And once again, at the end of October, we are talking about it again. I thought I had Mike's weather up there, but I guess I don't.
I can get that up.
Yeah, let's go ahead and put that up, because I wanted to check out the temperature. I wanted to show the drop, which again, we are in late October. It's about time we start cooling down again. I think the majority of the country this year, in my opinion, now we didn't have much of a summer in Buffalo, in my opinion. I think it stayed mostly in the upper, if I had to give you an average temperature for this summer, I'd say we were at 78 for an average. I think that's fair to say. 78 was the average. Maybe a little bit lower, not much. And this October was, to me, it kept that average around 73, 74 degrees until this week. And of course, it's the end of October. We should have seen these probably conditions change about 2 weeks ago, but it's been warm here. Let's see if we can scroll down and find a temperature map. I don't see one yet. They're showing Philippe how it's advancing the northeast. It looks to be pretty wet right now. I know we've been getting rain all day. I think we have a temperature map here somewhere. Bear with us, folks. The beauty of live hangouts. No. Well, I know it.
Temperature, wind forecast.
I know right here we'll have it.
Where?
Up here in this tab right there. Yeah. We can just look at a.
You want to take over the controls here, boss?
No.
Mr.
This wasn't what I was looking
You
for.
said you had
God,
this set
we
up.
had this all
What are you
taken care
doing,
of.
Jake?
That's the map I wanted. That's the one
You're
I wanted
fired.
to show everybody.
You are
All
so
right,
fired.
we found it.
Wait.
Sort of. Yeah, we did. There it is. The October
What, you
chill.
want this?
Yeah, I wanted that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
that's what
get
I wanted.
that up there.
Okay.
Here we go.
So this was what I was trying to talk about here. The temperatures up in the northern plains are already in the 20s, low 20s. Monday morning, that's pretty chilly. But this is typical fall weather. Now, I know a lot of folks are talking about snowflakes, never seen snowflakes before in before Halloween. I want to share a quick little story. It's not that big of a deal. It's just snow flurries, but it was in Dallas, Georgia. One of my friends down there in Dallas, Georgia, reported snow flurries this morning, and that's near Atlanta. So, kind of weird to hear. And you know, his sister commented on the post and said, "I've never seen snow in my 46 years ever before Halloween." So, and not only that, Georgia's not the only state.
Lee said he was freezing.
Yeah, Lee called me a couple days ago, and he was sitting at 49 degrees in Florida, Central Florida, folks. So definitely a little bit chillier air. And again, I think, and that's another thing, Grand Solar Minimum Channel has always said that we're going to see the effects. We're just going to have colder winters, a little bit more moisture falling because of the environment that we have right now in our atmosphere. You know, no one's talking about turning into an ice age overnight or over the year or anything like that. But I definitely think that some of these heavier snowfall amounts that we've seen early already, they're not just breaking the records, they're shattering the records. So to me, it's significant. It's something to keep an eye on. We've already had a very wet spring and winter, or I'm sorry, summer, and right now fall. I do believe here where we are, we have a chance of rain almost every day. I think 4 out of the next 5 days we have a chance of rain. So
it's cold, so we might get some
chilly.
sleet.
Yeah, tonight into tomorrow morning, where actually might get a little bit of a mix. So, all right, go ahead and take me over to this one right here. Yeah. Thank you very much. Hey. And again, here we are. This is another website that I recently started going to. I've noticed that everything that is on this page most of the time now is weather related, and I don't know this channel that well, but as of late, I do believe that this channel is, there's a reason why they're showing us. This is stuff that I believe that we would report on as well. The severe hailstorm in Argentina. Look at the size of this hail balls. There's another picture of the map from October 26, what I was talking about, how unseasonably cold temperatures for Midwest and plains, powerful storm in the Northeast, which we are now, even Buffalo, we're seeing the effects from that storm. Scroll down just a little bit more for me, please. All right, and then this right here, the European cold blast. I actually wanted to click on this article because I know last year we saw record snows in Italy and parts of the world right here, but already in October, and I've been hearing rumblings about this now for a few days now, but now we're starting to see in motion, and this is that yin and yang effect that Lee has always been talking about. And you get the warm, and then you hear it's time for the cold, but we see a polar vortex basically plunging into Europe at that point in time, and it looks like there's more to come afterwards. So some impressive data continues. It looks like from here on out, Europe is going to be facing some very cold climate here for the next several weeks to come before finally we see some slight, oh, that's October. So the loop goes through October through November.
Make it bigger.
Gotcha.
You can have a look here.
Take a look at that, but this is impressive. So this goes all the way through Thursday, and it's just one blast after another, one blast after another. They're going to get pummeled through October, and then it looks like they get rescued at the end of October with a bit of a thaw. but then some more unstable weather and more cold blasts and a possible another polar vortex. Very, very wishy-washy climate prediction here. Wow. So definitely something to keep our eyes on. But again, we are heading into the winter season, and we will see this kind of we will see these kinds of conditions continue. I don't know if there was if we can go back a little bit. I wanted to read about the temperatures that we're expecting here.
The main.
This one right here. Does it have it down there? Okay, that's gross.
Gross. I hate ads. I gotta put an ad blocker in there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But anyway, so just we wanted to reveal some sources, what we use here at this channel. I suggest everyone go to Mike's weather page. He does an excellent job. He has a donate button on there, and you're saying, well, why are you mentioning this guy? Well, this is what he does for a living, and he makes it easy for channels like me to kind of come in.
It's like a one-stop shop for
It is.
maps and radars and all that.
Everything. And
very convenient.
And if folks appreciate the information on what's going on in their current situation with the climate, channels like spaghettimodels.com, I strongly urge everyone to support. Good source of information as well.
Got anything else you want?
I don't know. Earth Null, and just looking at the jet stream, I mean, this is where we can see it in the jet stream right now where the cold air is, and we can see it plunging down from Canada. They are actually seeing some very cold weather, and they're getting snow. I saw a map as well that shows the chances of Halloween snow, and it is covering the Midwest, the northern plains. But strangely enough, the line, it kind of, right where the jet stream is where the snow line stops in Ohio. New York wasn't on the list for any snow, but surprisingly seeing the snow line stretch all the way down to the panhandle of Texas. So we will keep our eye on these events and more to come. If you guys have questions that you want to ask Lee, like I said, he is a frequent guest of the Grand Solar Minimum, the Big Picture, that is his show. If you guys have questions for him, hit us up at jake@wtfsky.com or jake@thegrandsolarminimum.com. Also, you can email your questions and to Mari as well at mari@wtfsky.com. But let's all take a step back and soak in the information and back it up, vet it, find out, if this is a clickbait story or is this something I really need to pay attention to? Because I just, the integrity of what's going on, we all know if you are a follower of Grand Solar Minimum or believe in what's happening right now, I think folks would understand the pressure of trying to talk some sense into folks, actually. Just, explain where we stand and why we believe that. So it's already sensitive enough. We have to be careful that we're not championing information that's false or sensational. And again, we are here to inform. We are learning along the ways, and we want to help others. And hopefully that the people that do follow this channel do get something out of this. Mari, do you have anything you want to say?
I have, one thing. There are people that get wrapped up in topics and wind up actually having fear take over, their beings, take over their daily lives. And there's a lot of channels on YouTube that are, they want to present the information, but we don't want to, scare people either.
Nope.
Anything can happen to anyone at any time of the day. That's the reality of it. You really have to go at life, no fear, and just be smart about things. Anything can happen. Don't be afraid to go out or go to a concert or an event because you think the sky is falling. There are people that have that fear,
Yep.
and I just, I've been there and I've been through that process, and you have to have faith in the unknown, and just know that be smart and you'll be okay, you know?
Yeah. I think we understand the things that are capable from the grand solar minimum. I think we all understand those. Starman, Lee have given us some great information about the possibilities, the primer fields, and all that. So, I mean, there are some scary things to talk about. But again, also, we want to make sure that when you come here to this channel, we want to make sure that you guys know that we're giving you the up-to-date information, the current events, what's happening now. And everything is speculation after that. If you're reporting on a situation, right now everything is speculation, anything past today. So with that being said, guys, stay tuned this week for updates, and we will have a live hangout with Lee Wheelbarger. Hopefully Starman will be able to join us as well, with also Ice Age Farmer. And one more thing, I almost forgot. We have a member in our group. His name is his handle name is Pisces 1908, and he is in our Slack account with us. He is one of our, let's just say, sources as well. You can go to HelioViewer and download movies all day and do whatever you want with them. Me personally, I am just not patient enough. My computer's slow, so it takes forever for them to come up. But he provides us with great videos every day. He's captured some pretty neat stuff. And it's people like Pisces 1908 that, they're interested, and they are also involved with trying to get the truth out, trying to get info out, and trying to make people aware that, this is normal, this isn't normal, and when to be calm and when not to be calm. And I've seen him also all over YouTube, basically an ambassador to what's happening right now with our sun. He, explaining that it is a cycle. So I just wanted to thank you, Pisces. You've done a great job with the work that you provided us, and every little bit helps, guys. It helps the channel, and it's basically for you guys anyway. But with that being said, guys, have a great rest of your weekend. We'll talk soon.
Bye.